The golden chandelier sparkled above the mansion's marble hall. Servants lined the walls, silent, afraid to move. Adrian, the billionaire's only son, smirked as he towered over Maria, the poor maid. Adrian, mocking you? Touch my clothes again, and I'll have you thrown out like the trash you are. Maria's hands shook around the laundry basket. Her lips quivered, but her eyes carried years of silent suffering. Adrian, laughing cruelly, do you know what this suit costs? More than you'll make in 10 lifetimes. People like you don't belong here. Something inside Maria snapped. Her tears glistened, her chest rose sharply, and suddenly, slap. The sound cracked through the hall like thunder. Adrian's head whipped to the side, a red mark blazing across his cheek. The hall gasped. Plates clattered. Maids covered their mouths. No one had ever dared to touch him. Adrian, furious, you filthy maid. You'll regret this. I'll destroy you. He raised his hand to strike her back, but froze. Maria didn't cower. Her tears rolled down, but her voice was steady, trembling with fire. Maria, breaking, you think you can destroy me? Adrian, you don't even know who you are. Adrian blinked, rage faltering, confusion rising. And then she whispered the words that shattered the mansion's silence. Maria, I slapped you because you're my son. The hall erupted in gasps. Adrian stumbled back, his face frozen in disbelief. Adrian's stunned silence lasted only a moment before it broke into cruel, echoing laughter. Adrian, mocking, bitter, my mother? You? A maid? Don't make me laugh. Do you even hear yourself? He wiped the corner of his mouth where the slap had stung, his pride more wounded than his cheek. His eyes burned with fury as he stepped closer, towering over Maria. Adrian, snarling, say those words again, and I'll have you dragged out of this mansion like the worthless servant you are. Gasps rippled among the servants, but Maria didn't bow her head this time. Tears shimmered in her eyes, yet her voice was steady. Maria, mock me all you want. Adrian, but blood does not lie. One day, you will see the truth. Adrian scoffed, anger bubbling over. He turned sharply to the butler, his voice cutting like steel. Adrian, by sunset, she's gone. Do you hear me? I never want to see her face in this house again. The butler froze, torn between fear of his master's son and the weight of Maria's trembling words. Still, he lowered his head. Butler, quietly, yes, sir. Maria's lips trembled, but instead of pleading, she let out a weary sigh. Maria, softly, you can throw me out. You can hate me, but nothing you do will erase the truth. Adrian's jaw clenched as he spun on his heel, storming toward the grand staircase. His footsteps echoed like thunder through the silent hall. But before he reached the top, the air shifted. Heavy, commanding footsteps approached from the opposite side. Servants stiffened, their eyes wide with dread. The master of the mansion had arrived. The mansion doors swung open, and the air grew heavier. Mr. Lancaster, the billionaire himself, strode into the hall, his presence commanding silence. His sharp eyes scanned the room, instantly sensing the storm in the air. Mr. Lancaster, stern, what is the meaning of this chaos? Adrian turned at once, his face flushed with anger. He pointed a trembling finger at Maria. Adrian, father, this maid has lost her mind. She dared to slap me, and then claimed she's my mother. The servants gasped again, heads lowering to avoid their master's gaze. Mr. Lancaster's expression hardened, but his eyes flickered, just for a second, when they landed on Maria. Maria straightened her back, clutching her trembling hands together. Her voice shook, but it carried years of buried pain. Maria, don't act like you don't know, sir. You know the truth. You know what you did to me and to him. Her words cut through the silence like a blade. Adrian's head snapped toward his father, waiting for him to laugh, to deny, to protect their family honor. But instead, the color drained from Mr. Lancaster's face. His jaw tightened. His lips parted, then closed again. The servants whispered in the shadows, fear mixing with curiosity. Servant, whispering, why doesn't he deny it? Why does he look so pale? Adrian's voice cracked with disbelief as he stared at his father. Adrian, shaken, father, why aren't you saying anything? The hall grew colder. Mr. Lancaster's silence spoke louder than any words. Maria's voice trembled, but her eyes burned with a strength born of suffering. Maria, softly, if you won't speak, then I will. The hall blurred around her as her mind was pulled back into the past. She was young again, just a maid with dreams too fragile for the world she served. She remembered the nights polishing the grand staircase until her fingers bled, and the way her heart raced when the young master, Mr. Lancaster, had lingered near her. He had promised her everything: love, protection, a future. His words were honey, his touch fire. But once he got what he wanted, the promises vanished like smoke. Maria, voice cracking, I was left with nothing except a child growing inside me. Her tears rolled freely now, falling on the marble floor. Maria, when I gave birth, they told me he was dead, that my baby never took a breath. I mourned him every night, every day. I prayed for the soul of the child I never got to hold. Gasps filled the hall. Adrian froze where he stood, his breath shallow. Maria turned her gaze on him, her eyes trembling as they searched his face. Maria, whispering, but then I saw it. The mark. The same birthmark behind your ear, the one my baby had. Adrian's hand instinctively rose to touch the spot. His face went pale. Maria's voice broke as she took a step closer, her tears shimmering like glass. Maria, Adrian, you are the son I thought I lost. The hall was deathly silent, the weight of her confession pressing down on every soul. Adrian's hand lingered at the back of his ear, his chest heaving as if the air itself betrayed him. His eyes darted from Maria to his father, searching for answers, desperate for denial. Adrian, shaken, shouting no. This is insane. You're just a maid clinging to lies. You think you can trick me? Trick us. Maria's trembling hands reached into the pocket of her faded apron. She pulled out a small, worn envelope, yellowed by time. Her fingers shook as she unfolded it, revealing an old photograph of a newborn wrapped in a blanket, the faint birthmark visible behind the tiny ear. The servants gasped, craning to see. Adrian's breath caught, but he quickly snatched the photo and tore it in half, his voice breaking into rage. Adrian, furious, enough. You forged this. Do you hear me? You forged it. But as the scraps of paper fell to the marble floor, everyone's eyes turned to Mr. Lancaster. His hands trembled visibly, his face pale as a ghost. He stared at the torn photograph as though it were a dagger aimed at his heart. Maria, steadily, through tears, if I'm lying, then why does he look so afraid? The hall fell into a hush. Adrian's glare wavered as he turned toward his father, his voice quieter now, almost pleading. Adrian, whispering, Father, tell me she's lying. Tell me this isn't true. Mr. Lancaster's lips parted, but no words came. His silence hung heavy, crushing the air. The servants murmured nervously, their whispers a storm. Servant, hushed, why won't he deny it? Adrian's fists clenched as he took a shaky step back, suspicion carving cracks in the certainty he once had. The silence in the mansion hall was unbearable. The servants dared not move, their eyes darting between the trembling maid, the furious son, and the billionaire frozen in his chair. Adrian's chest heaved as he took a step closer to his father. Adrian, voice breaking, why won't you say something? Why won't you deny her? Mr. Lancaster's hands gripped the armrest so tightly his knuckles turned white. His breath came shallow, his face shadowed by guilt. Maria, tears streaming down her face, lifted her chin. Maria, you think silence will protect you? It won't. The truth doesn't die just because you bury it. Her voice cracked, but she pressed on, her words a blade cutting into years of deceit. Maria, shaking, if you won't tell him. I will. I will tell the world what you did. How you used me. How you stole my child and raised him as if I never existed. Mr. Lancaster shot up from his chair, his voice thundering. Mr. Lancaster, shouting enough. The hall quaked with his roar. Adrian staggered back, startled. He had never seen his father lose control. The servants bowed their heads, trembling. Mr. Lancaster's chest heaved. His powerful frame suddenly looked fragile, as though decades of secrets had crushed him from the inside. Adrian, staring, desperate, Father, what is she talking about? Tell me she's lying. Tell me. Mr. Lancaster's lips trembled. His eyes, once sharp and commanding, glistened with something Adrian had never seen before, fear. Maria, through tears, don't hide anymore. He deserves to know. The billionaire turned away, shoulders sagging under the weight of truth he could no longer hold back. Mr. Lancaster stood frozen in the center of the hall, his breath ragged, his shoulders heavy under invisible chains. Adrian's eyes bored into him, wild with confusion and betrayal. Adrian, pleading, broken father, please. Just tell me, is she lying? Mr. Lancaster turned slowly, his face ashen. His voice, once thunderous and commanding, came out cracked and weary. Mr. Lancaster, hoarse, no, she isn't lying. The words sliced through the hall like a blade. Gasps erupted. Servants clasped their mouths, staring in disbelief. Adrian staggered back, his chest tightening as though the ground itself had crumbled beneath him. Adrian, shouting, voice cracking, no. You can't mean that. But Mr. Lancaster's eyes glistened, his body trembling as though a lifetime of walls had finally collapsed. Mr. Lancaster, voice breaking, it's true. Adrian, she is your mother. Maria sobbed openly, her hands trembling as she covered her mouth. Her eyes locked on Adrian, longing, aching, but terrified of his response. Adrian's legs gave way, and he dropped to his knees. His fists pounded the marble floor. Adrian, screaming, you lied to me. My whole life was a lie. He turned on Maria, his eyes red with rage and pain. Adrian, furious, pointing, and you? Where were you? Where were you when I needed you? Maria's tears streamed as she reached for him, but Adrian jerked away, his face twisted with betrayal. Adrian, choking on his words, don't call yourself my mother. You don't deserve it. He stumbled to his feet and stormed toward the doors, his steps uneven, his sobs echoing in the grand hall. Maria reached out helplessly, her cry shattering the silence. Maria, weeping, Adrian, my son. But he didn't look back. The heavy doors slammed shut, leaving Maria collapsed in tears, and Mr. Lancaster slumped in defeat. The mansion erupted after Adrian stormed out. Servants whispered like frightened birds, the scandal spreading through every corner. From the grand staircase, Mrs. Lancaster, Adrian's stepmother, descended in fury, her jewels rattling as she clutched the banister. Her voice cracked like a whip. Mrs. Lancaster, spitting with rage, what have you done? Do you realize what this means? This will ruin us. The inheritance, the name, everything we've built will burn because of you. She turned her venom on Maria, eyes ablaze. Mrs. Lancaster, you poisonous woman. You crawled back to destroy my family. Maria shook her head, tears streaming. Her hands trembled, but her voice was raw and pleading. Maria, I never came here to ruin anyone. I thought my son was dead. Do you understand? I lived with that pain every day of my life. The stepmother scoffed, her lips curling. Mrs. Lancaster, spare us your sob story. You're nothing but a stain on his name. In the distance, Adrian's footsteps echoed as he slammed his door shut upstairs. Alone, he leaned against it, his face buried in his hands. His body shook, torn between rage and despair. Adrian, whispering to himself, all lies, my whole life was a lie. Maria's voice floated faintly through the wood, muffled by her sobs. Maria, outside his door, pleading, Adrian, please. I never abandoned you. I never wanted this life for you. I only wanted to protect you. Inside, Adrian's fists clenched. He pressed his forehead against the door, but his voice came back sharp, broken. Adrian, shouting, stay away from me. Both of you. His cry echoed through the mansion, silencing every whisper, freezing Maria in place. She sank to her knees outside his door, her sobs the only sound in the empty corridor. The study door slammed open, rattling the shelves lined with leather-bound books. Adrian stormed in, his eyes bloodshot, his chest heaving like a man carrying the weight of the world. His father sat behind the mahogany desk, papers scattered, a glass of brandy trembling in his hand. For once, the billionaire looked small, haunted. Adrian, voice breaking with rage. How could you do this to me? How could you steal my life from me? Mr. Lancaster looked up, his jaw tightening, but no words came. Adrian, slamming the desk, you raised me on lies. You built this empire on lies. You took her child, my mother's child, and made me believe she was nothing. The glass slipped from Mr. Lancaster's hand, shattering against the floor. Maria appeared in the doorway, her face streaked with tears, but her voice steady with years of suppressed pain. Maria, firmly, enough hiding. The world deserves to know the truth. Mr. Lancaster shot up, panic flashing in his eyes. Mr. Lancaster, desperate, no. You can't. If this scandal breaks, everything will collapse. Our name, our fortune, Adrian's future. Adrian let out a bitter laugh, his voice dripping with venom. Adrian, my future? You destroyed it the moment you lied to me. I don't care about your empire. Maria stepped forward, her trembling hand reaching toward Adrian. Maria, soft, tearful, I don't want the empire. I never did. I only want my son to know the truth, to know I never abandoned him. Mr. Lancaster's voice shook, a mixture of anger and fear. Mr. Lancaster. Maria, stop. You'll ruin everything. But Maria's tear-filled eyes locked on his, fierce with a mother's resolve. Maria, your empire was built on my pain. On our pain. No more silence. Adrian's chest heaved as he looked between them, his father begging, his mother pleading. His face twisted with anguish as he whispered, Adrian, I don't know who to hate more, you or myself for believing you. The room fell into a suffocating silence. The study was suffocating with silence. Adrian stood between his father and Maria, his hands trembling, his face carved with pain. Maria's tearful eyes begged for a chance. Mr. Lancaster's stern gaze pleaded for silence, for protection of his empire. Adrian's voice finally broke the air, low and trembling. Adrian, all my life, I thought I knew who I was. But now, I don't know if I even want to. Maria took a step closer, her hands shaking as she reached for him. Maria, softly, through tears, you don't have to choose the empire. You don't have to live by his lies. You're my son, and I will love you whether you accept me or not. Her words shattered the last wall around Adrian's heart. His eyes filled with tears. Adrian collapsed into Maria's arms, sobbing like a lost child finally found. Adrian, whispering mother. Maria cradled him, her tears falling onto his hair. For the first time, he allowed himself to be held, to feel her warmth. Mr. Lancaster slumped into his chair, powerless, as the empire he had built on lies faded in the shadow of truth. The mansion was silent, except for the sound of a mother and son, reunited at last.